Hi, I'm Sherry. In this comparison between postmodernism and queer theory, I will firstly introduce each of them from their emergencies and theoretical and cinematic movements to the related authors and artists. Then I will make a comparison between them. Theoretically, postmodernism is a drastic departure from the utopian visions of modernism. It has regularly been understood as a mode of thought that's rejected many of the central tenets of modern Western rationality. It is characterized by broad skepticism, a general suspicion of reason, and an acute sensitivity to the role of ideology in asserting and maintaining political and economic power. Postmodernists try to peel all the layers of many forms of truth and question the methodologies used to attaining truth. Although they may question truth, at the core of the theory is that the overall consensus that the only truth is that truth changes. The idea of postmodernism emerged since the 1950s and popularized in the 1970s and the 1980s. There are two main historical events catalyzed the emergence of postmodernism. Firstly, the World War II. These worldwide military conflicts resulted in the deaths of over 70 million people. After World War II, the dream of a peaceful society had collapsed in the capitalist world, and the reliability of human rational thought and self-control are under suspicion. People began to reflect the society and human nature and were also less confident in their own judgment. This had caused a sense of loss, insecurity, and anxiety. In one word, the traditional values and beliefs are re-examined. Moreover, the revolution in science and technology since the 1950s has triggered off profound transformation in people's lifestyles and ideas, especially in developed societies. Technology has greatly enhanced human power. At the same time, under the impact of technology, especially the internet and mass media, people are separated from the reality and are living a digital virtual life. The identity is diversified and the clear sense of self is disrupted. Moreover, the revolution in science and technology since 1950s has triggered off profound transformation in people's lifestyles and ideas, especially in developed countries. Technology has greatly enhance the human power. At the same time, under the impact of technology, especially the internet and mass media, people are separated from the reality and are living a digital and virtual life. The identity is diversified and the clear sense of self is disrupted. Postmodernism really came into its own in cinema around the 1980s. One of the earliest examples of modern films is 8½ from Italian director Federico Fellini, who was highly influential in the Italian neorealism movement. The film follows the main character Guido's existential crisis as he struggles to create a film that offers some kind of solution to a problem. He wants to bestow a universal truth through his work, but he just can't figure out what to do. Guido's struggle reflects that of many artists, but how can you highlight a universal truth when no such truth exists? This is a central tenet of postmodernism. Challenging commonly held truths pop up all the time in postmodern films. For the core authors of postmodernism, Kurt Vonnegut is a representative for postmodernism. His works contain a boatload of irony and dark humor and are not afraid to get into more serious topics like state oppression, violence, paranoia, and the horrors of World War II. For example, his work Slaughterhouse-Five combines a World War II theme with an off-the-wall mix of time travel and aliens. For the influential artists in postmodernism, Andy Warhol, who was fascinated by both the cult of celebrity and by death itself, One of his artwork, Marilyn Diptych, a series of silkscreen prints of Marilyn Monroe, can be conceived of as postmodern in many senses. Its overt reference to popular culture and low art challenges the purity of the modernist aesthetics. Its repetitive element is a homage to mass production, and its ironic play on the concept of authenticity undermines the authority of the artist. The workings of queer theory seek to make the unnatural seem natural, to reconstruct unconstructive, erroneous information. Queer theory is a body of work motivated by the understanding that human beings are too complex to fit into broadly defined simple categories, such as the dichotomy between female and male. It deconstructs truths that have led to the westernized hegemony of global societies. Queer theory's contention is that there is no set normal, only changing norms that people may or may not fit into. Although queer theory had its beginnings in the educational sphere, the cultural events surrounding its origins also had a huge impact. Activist groups pushed back in the 1980s against the lack of government intervention after the outbreak of the AIDS epidemic. Gay activist groups like ACT UP and Queer Nation took the lead to force attention to both the AIDS epidemic and the gay and lesbian community as a whole. These groups helped define the field with the work they did by highlighting a non-normative option to the more traditional identity politics and the marginal group creations. In 1991, the term queer theory was first coined by Teresa de Lauretis in an article for the Journal of Feminist Cultural Studies, of which she was the guest editor. The journal includes 8 other articles which were generated in a conference on theorizing lesbian and gay sexualities. The purpose of the conference was to re-emphasize the speculative premises that homosexuality could no longer be seen as marginal in relation to the dominant and stable form of sexuality and heterosexuality. Queer theory, which made a vivid appearance in academia during the 90s, seek to make sense of the deeply entrenched questionings of normality. There came a need to understand why some differences mattered more than others. This field of study is a descendant of ideas that have emerged during the 1940s, which questioned the naturalized understandings of human identity in terms of nature. The term queer theory also emerged just as LGBT representations and media production and distributed channels began to dramatically shift and diversify. The comprehensive privatization of the U.S. media industries throughout the 1980s created a focus on minority marketing, which by the 1990s had become a common practice among corporations seeking to cultivate new markets. The increase of gay and lesbian representations in mainstream media worked in tandem with the emergence of a new queer market value in the film, television, and music industries. The year 1990, then, is also the year of the sensational release of Madonna's music video for Vogue, directed by David Fincher, featuring Black and Latino and Latina dancers from the Harlem houseboat community, which brought both praises for their singer's boldness and criticism for her exploitation of gay Black and Latino subcultures. Also, from the perspectives of the audience, in an era when representations of adolescent sexuality are both exploited and policed, the fans of all ages, genders, and sexual orientations can tell stories to satisfy their own desires. This freedom is especially valuable for younger fans whose self-expressions are heavily monitored in institutional settings. As a result, the queer theory in fan fiction and meme created a new way of decoding the film. Gail Rubin is the core theorist in the development of queer theory. Her essay, Thinking Sex, continues Foucault's rejection of biological explanations of sexuality by thinking about the way that sexual identities as well as behaviors are hierarchically organized through systems of sexual classifications. So for the similarities between postmodernism and the queer theory, the most outstanding point is that they emerged in similar times when people were stimulated by big events. For example, the World War II for postmodernism and the outbreak of AIDS epidemic for queer theory. This big event made people to re-examine the traditional values and beliefs. Further, both of them calls into question the truths or theories that had already been established in this society. In this case, the queer theory can be considered as a form or a branch of the postmodernism, since postmodernism endeavors to challenge the established ideas that from any kind of area. It is a set of ideas appears in a wide variety of disciplines, including art, architecture, music, film, literature, sociology, communications, fashion, and technology. Well, the main idea of queer theory about questioning the authority of the principles of homosexuality and the human identity that are instilled by Western discourses is also included in the areas where postmodernism challenged. So, I believe queer theory can be considered as a form of postmodernism. And similar to postmodernism advocating polyvocality, the overalls of queer theory are continually evolving to be inclusive of the voices of more groups that help to piece together the larger picture. Many of these narratives are of the common lived aspects of everyday life, revealing the struggles of queer individuals in simply being themselves. So, basically, the two theories are doing the same thing. Queer theory focuses more on the homosexuals and the further topics about human identities and of them, while postmodernism focuses on all kinds of things to bring a new definition or self-awareness, as I mentioned in previous slides. Also, the new truths that are supported by the postmodernism are made from the deconstruction of constantly repeated naturalized knowledge. However, these truths about naturalized knowledge creates the existence and acceptance of those whose sexual and social identity has caused them to feel confusion and oppression from either being cloistered under general umbrellas or caught in the middle of binaries. At this point, the naturalized knowledge emphasized the dichotomy of gender, and which is about that there is only females and males in the world. So, what postmodernism supported is actually against the core idea of queer theory. In conclusion, basically, the postmodernism and the queer theory are similarly challenging the existing ideas and theories, but when you carefully study them, the things that they are support are very different. Thanks for watching. Bye.